Good morning, class. This video is going to cover the second part of 4.4, which is factoring. And what I'm basically going to cover is factoring when the leading coefficient, a, is not equal to 1. So we're going to start, though, with a warm-up of kind of going back over what the other videos that we had showed on Friday were when a is 1. You are looking for two numbers that multiply together to give me the 20 that would add also together to give me the 9. And so basically what I'm looking at is two terms that would give me a total of 20 multiplied product and a sum of 9. So like 20 times 1, that gives me 21 when you add them together. That doesn't work. Okay, so we'll go 10 and 2, which would give me a total of 12. That doesn't work. Product of 20 would be like 5 and 4. And 5 and 4 does give me a sum of 9. And so 5 and 4 then are my two terms. So we'd split our x's, put plus 5 plus 4, or plus 4 plus 5, and that gives me the factored form. Okay? Factored form. Okay, that's what we did on Friday. Well, today we're going to take a look at what happens when a does not equal 1. Okay? That not equal to 1, and they use the absolute value. I'm not going to worry about that. But this leading coefficient out here is not 1, it's a 2. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take 2 and multiply it by 24. Now, I couldn't find this method on YouTube, so I wanted to show it. But this is a method I saw a couple of years ago, and I fell in love with it. So we'll take 2 times 12, and what do you get when you take 2 times 12? That's correct. You get 24. Okay, so now what we're going to do is the same idea. We're going to come up with terms that give me a product of 24 and a sum of this middle term. Okay, so 24 would be like 24 times 1, but that's 25. No, 12 and 2, well that's 14. Closer, but no cigar. Okay, let's go 8 and 3, which would give me 11. Aha, that's it. 6 and 4 is the last one, but that only gives me 10. This 8 times 3 is it. So here's what we're going to do is we do my eyeglasses. We're going to go x, and then plus 8, plus 3. You're going to say, well, what do you do about that 2 out front? That's a great question. Let me change to a red. And here's what you're going to do. Because you multiplied by 2 here, when you get at this level, you're going to have to divide those two numbers by 2. And the rule goes this. If 8 divides by 2, what would you get? You'd get x plus 4. Okay, that's true. All right. And if 3 does not divide evenly by 2, then you're going to take the 2 and put it up front, and that will give me a 2x plus 3. Now, if you FOIL this to check it, you would get 2x squared from the product of the firsts. Then you would get plus 3x. For the outsides, the insides would give you plus 8x. There's your 3 and your 8. And then the lasts would give you plus 12. These together give me 2x squared plus 11x plus 12. And that's what we started with. So there it checks, and therefore this is my factored form. Okay, again, the rule. So take the first term, multiply it by the last term, and that's how I get my 24. And you're going to come up with the right product that will give me the sum of 11, the middle term, okay, which came out to be 8 and 3. Now, we'll put those guys in here. That's my 8 and my 3. And then since I multiplied by 2 up here, I got to divide by 2 to counteract it. If it divides evenly by 2 at this stage, then we write it and take 8 divided by 2 gives me 4. But if 3 does not divide evenly by 2, or any number, then we take the 2 and put it up in front, and it becomes the coefficient 2x plus 3. I can't explain how this works, but that it works is amazing, and I love it. And it's short, and it's quick, and it's a lot like what we had just done. Let me do a couple of more. Okay? So we have another one here, 4x squared plus 3. Okay, so 4 times 3 is 12. And my middle term was 7. So two terms that multiply together to give me 12, add together to give me 7. Yeah, 4 and 3. Those give me a sum of 7. So again, we'll do x plus 4 x plus 3. Now, I multiplied by 4, so we got to divide by 4. Okay, works on this one. We'll get x plus 1. Okay, but on this one it doesn't, so we put the 4 up front, and that gives me 4x plus 3. And if you check it by FOIL, okay, we put our terms in there, we'd get 4x squared. The outsides would give 3x. The insides would be 4x. That gives me a sum of 7x. And then the last would be plus 3. And there's what we started with. So this is my factored form. I have two more to look at. 2x squared minus 11x plus 15. Again, we'll take the 2 and multiply it by the 15. We get 30. And it's negative 11. Okay, so that means my terms have to be negative. But right away I see a negative 6, negative 5. Okay, and so I'm going to have an x minus 6 and an x minus 5. What did I bring over? I brought over a 2, so we're going to divide by 2. Okay, since we multiplied by 2. And 6 divided by 2 gives me x minus 3. But the 2 won't divide out of 5, so we'll put the 2 up front, and that will be 2x minus 5. And there is my factored form. Last time, we'll go to a nice color here, and we'll multiply 2 times 24. That's going to give me 48. And I want a negative 19. Means that my terms have to be negative, because this is positive 48. All right, we multiplied by 2. So we'll go ahead and factor 48 and 1. Let's see, 24 and 2, 16 and 3. There it is. And these, by the way, had to all be negatives. So negative 16, negative 3 gives me a sum of negative 19. So we'll split our x's. And we'll go x minus 16, x minus 3. Since we multiplied by 2, we'll divide by 2. Take it back out, and that gives me a clean x minus 8 for the first one. But this one does not, so we'll put the 2 out front, and it's 2x minus 3. There is my factored form. Check it by FOIL to get the answer, all right? Now, when you've got a we're going to go ahead and skip over this one, and we're going to go right to the next one. Whoops, I went too far. The difference of two perfect squares. Now, you got to look at this. That's a perfect square, and that's a perfect square. And by the way, anytime there's an even number for the exponent, it's a perfect square. Okay? When it's a perfect square, the first thing you want to do is find the square root of 25, which would be 5, and the square root of x squared would be x. So we'll split that as 5x times 5x. We'll split the 49. That's 7 times 7, right? 7, 7. Okay, and then I'm going to do a plus and a minus. Check by FOIL, and there it is. 5x times 5x is 25x squared. We get a minus 35x and a plus 35x. They cancel. Minus 49 for the lasts, and that gives me a check right back to where we started. This is then my factored form, and it's the difference of two squares. Let's do one more of those. 16. What's the square root of 16? Square root of 16 is 4x. 4x. Square root of 81. That's right, it's 9. And we would do a plus and a minus. You can do a minus and a plus. But that would give me then the factored form for that one. Hey, I hope this was helpful. Your homework's going to reflect these kind of problems, and maybe a couple from Friday. Not a long set, but hope you're having a good week. Call me if you've got any questions. Take care. Bye.